Yo, what's up, jazz guitar friends? Larry Tamanini here at LT Jazz Guitar. You just heard me playing through one of my favorite tunes ever, Alone Together, right? And I'm just basically using this tune as a vehicle for what I'm going to talk about today. And you just heard three things that you can do to really help your swing, help you not get lost in songs, and help you learn your fretboard, right? Okay. I was playing Alone Together, but the first two A sections, you heard me walk a bass line, right? And then over the B section, you heard me just kind of comp for myself. And then after my sweet Adam Nussbaum Drum Genius sample ran out, you heard me finally play the song by myself in time, right? Trying to just keep that going. So, what playing with a drummer is going to do, especially if you're having a hard time playing, keeping form, right? Ultimately, this is for people that are having a hard time getting lost, right? If you're playing quarter note time, you're giving yourself a really easy rhythm to sort of latch onto. But there's really nothing easy about trying to keep a quarter note pulse, especially at that tempo, right? Even though that drum sample is really great to play along with, even at 144 beats per minute, sometimes you can kind of feel like you're slipping if you don't have the right sort of path going for you musically. And it's a good discipline to have that quarter note. I think the biggest difference between bass players, well, there's a lot of difference between playing bass and playing guitar is, when you're playing bass, you can't stop. You're constant. Playing guitar, sometimes you can coast, you can let a chord sort of like ring out, you can do a lot of things to hide. When you're keeping a bass roll with a drum sample, there's no place to hide. You have to play quarter notes. So what I was really trying to do with that was really land on a root or a fifth or a third. And I'm really trying to sort of, I stayed on the bottom end for a little bit. You heard me play maybe something like, doing something like that in time isn't easy. And you have to have like a good intent while you're playing. While you're playing this, you want to have a lot of intention. These notes mean stuff. You can't just nibbly pibbly be throwing stuff out there. And when you're playing bass lines, you can't really afford to hit something that's not a strong note. And when you're trying to create tension, you're sort of getting out of the scale and getting in between those roots, right? I played a line like, that E flat is going to bring me back into this root, right? Even if I went like this to get back to the D. Really going to try to get to that root, right? And then, once you sort of get that hanging out, right, you never want to hang in the low end too long, right? And there's nothing wrong with playing quarter notes, especially quarter notes with intention, right? So I definitely tried to play different areas of my guitar, and I definitely tried to spell a couple of different chord ideas out, right? Right? I really love playing, root fifth root. Oh, I ran it. That extra half fret really helped out. Thank you, Misaki and Westville Guitars. Anyways, so, there's nothing wrong with playing roots and fifths. And again, when you're trying to get that going with other notes, you're going to step out a little bit. So that's what I was really trying to do, and get that really strong quarter and use a couple different parts of my guitar. There's no way you can have a strong quarter note and be getting lost all the time. So chances are, if you're getting lost in tunes, you probably need to work on your quarter note. And when you're working on your quarter note, you're going to be working on intent. And when you're playing intentionally, you're really going to start making changes. The next thing I ended up doing, right, was comping for myself. And when you're comping for yourself with drums, the time is there. And basically, you can sort of use those chords as ways to end your phrases, right? I like to start out with, if there's no chords, I like to maybe start out my idea with a chord. And you can do some cool stuff, just because this is like has an A in the bass, and you can pedal some ideas. Right? But anyway, so I wanted to play some ideas anyway. Right? You heard me sort of play that 2-5-1, and instead of just resolving to, I ended up playing that, or I guess you could go the D on top, but I was sort of shooting for the third. Right? When you're playing without the bass or any chords, you don't want to go too long without playing some chords. That's kind of what I just did, right? So let's go back and maybe kind of fix that idea. So maybe coming out of the beginning, right? A short chord idea. I like to maybe, if I feel like my phrase is running out of gas, I'll end it a little early and use that little 2-5 to bring me back into, in this case, the melody. After all that stuff, I think the toughest challenge is to be able to state a melody by yourself, right? Just the melody, without trying to get too fancy, without getting too far away from the tune and the idea of the song. Like, sure, you hear a lot of great renditions, but then you're like, oh, that was that song? Like, oh. So, again, that's me, that's what I'm trying to do. So these are, again, some ideas that you can do. If you have Drum Genius on your phone, I have a Henriksen Bud, and it's the blue model that's Bluetooth accessible. So being able to have a phone that has Drum Genius, you can have your gig simulator very, very portable if you have a small amp with Bluetooth capabilities or whatever you got to do. But I think the idea of playing with just drums, right? When you're playing with the bass, just bass and drums, that's cool too, right? Because you have to comp. But when you take the bass away, well, now you're responsible for a lot more of the harmonic ideas, right? There's a rhythm responsibility that's taken care of that you sort of have to live up to. But then, now you're on the clock when it comes to, keeping that time going. And for a lot of guitar players, the responsibility of having that kind of time responsibility and harmony responsibility without a bass is a big challenge. I know there was a time when I thought I had my stuff together, and I used to get together with a drummer named Pepe Marola, and Pepe and I would play duo quite a bit, and I really was on the struggle bus to Bebop City for reals, because I was used to playing with great bass players all the time and great piano players. So it's almost like I sort of was surfing over the time. When he took the bass away and I was responsible, I was in it, right? It's almost like when you're bowling and they put the bumpers in so you can't get a gutter ball. So my time was real gutter ball. My my form was bad, and man, if you don't have time or form, like those are some pretty glaring holes to work on. So, if you're out there, Pepe Marola, thank you very much for being patient with me. It really helped me get a lot of stuff together, and I don't have readily accessible to drummers just coming over and playing, but I do have Drum Genius, and that's like sometimes almost just as good because there's just a lot of great samples. And again, you pick a tune and you work on your quarter notes. You work on comping for yourself. You work on as much as you can work on. So, all right, jazz guitar friends, I didn't intend on going this long, but thanks for hanging out. Surely appreciate the support. If you made it this long, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hershey's out at the groomers, so we're cleaning the couch, cleaning the jam station here, and we'll be back probably for some more music this week. Bebop!